Hello guys, it's been a while. TechChairman is back. Today I'm gonna show you how to create visualization like this in KeyShot, and if you want to support me and you wanna download this 3D model, visit my Patreon page, link is in the description. Let's start working on this render. So first step is to import our 3D model. Click on the import, find our 3D model, double click and press import. So this is how it looks in the KeyShot with basic material, basic environment and basic lighting. And now we are going to create the brand new camera. So go to the camera tab, click on add new camera. We can change the name to main camera view, something to like this. I'm also going to change this focal length to make this image a little bit more in orthographic view. So maybe like this. I'm going to use 105. All right. I'm going to use the slider to match the reference image, so maybe like this. And also I'm going to use this inclination, so maybe like this. All right. And now I'm going to also change the aspect ratio. When you open the KeyShot, you got probably aspect ratio something to like this, but we are going to use more like the square, so 1 by 1 is all right. And I'm going to click on my mouse right button, and I'm going to use this center and fit model. So this model is exactly in the middle. For example, if I move this model something like this and I make it again, I got it in the middle. So it's pretty handy tool. I discovered it just recently. So now I'm going also change this distance to make it a little bit more like this. Maybe like this. This is all right. Or actually I'm going to use just this. All right, maybe like this. This is nice. I'm going to save the camera and lock the position. And now I can't rotate around this model. I need to go back to free camera, and now I can rotate or even make it a little bit more closer. And if I need to go back to my camera view, I just click on this camera. So this is how we can set up camera in the KeyShot. Now we need to finish couple details. We need to create reflection on the ground, and we need to create lighting which will be coming from the floor, something like circular light. So I'm going to my environment tab. I'm going to use completely black color. And we can create the reflection with this button right here, and we also can create the ground with this button, but we are going to use different approach because we need specific soft reflection. So I'm going to the edit, add geometry, add ground plane, double click on this plane, and I'm going to use reflection like this. Also I'm going to make it a little bit more rough. And also I'm going to use this value as well, so something to like this. And I'm also going to use this button, clip geometry below the ground. And this is how we can create soft reflection on the ground. Now we are going to create the lightning on the floor, circular light. So we are going to add geometry, add disk open. I'm going to make this disk open a little bit bigger, something to like this. And also I'm going to bring this object a little bit more up, something to like this. And now I'm going to put another object. So I'm going to use disk. I'm going to make this disk a little bit bigger as well, and bring it a little bit up. And now I'm going to click on this floor and click on this upper disk and use link materials. And you can see this disk is now ground floor, and we are going to use disk open as lightning. So I'm going to use area light. I'm going to use the watts. I'm going to use the 6 watts. I'm going also turn on this visible in shadows. I'm going to use white color. And I'm going to use this Kelvin value, something like 5000, to get a little bit more yellow tint. So this is how we can create the lightning on the bottom. Now we can apply basic material. So I'm going to my plastic folder. I'm going to find this tire material on the bottom, just drag and drop, double click on this material, make it a little bit more shiny. And you can see how these lights reflect on this tire, which is actually a really nice effect. But this lightning looks really flat. So let's go to the image tab. We are going to use the bloom, and I'm going to use intensity 1 and bloom radius something like 16 pixels. Alright, a little bit more up. And I'm going to use this bloom threshold, because right now you can see this tire is completely bloom, and that's really not nice. So we are going to use this bloom threshold, and you can see how it's changing. So I'm going to use value 2, and you can see this tire is completely sharp and this light is a little bit bloom. Now we can create new lightning. So let's go to the environment tab. We are going to click on this button, which is add new environment. We are going to use the highest resolution and black color, so no lights is on the canvas, and this is like the physical light. Now we are going to use this button, which is add new pin. We are going to make this pin a little bit bigger. We are also going to use a little bit more brightness, and I'm also going to use this fall off to 1, so this light is going to have soft edges. And now I'm going to click on this button, which is set highlight, and I'm going to click on the object where I need to have this lightning, so maybe like this. And now I'm going to use the slider to make it on the specific position, so I'm going to use it something to like this, so maybe a little bit more up. Alright, something to like this. This is really nice. And I'm going to duplicate this light. I'm going to make this light a little bit smaller, and also I'm going to change this intensity. And I'm going to make this light a little bit more right here, so maybe like this. And I'm also going to use the sliders again to highlight exact position. So something to like this, maybe a little bit more down. This is all right. Now I'm going to duplicate this light again. I'm going to make this light much more bigger. And I'm going to use less brightness, less intensity. And I'm going to highlight this front of the tire. So I'm going to use this slider to the left. All right, maybe to the right a little bit more, something to like this. And also I'm going up like this. Alright, I'm going to duplicate this light one more time, and this is like our final light. And I'm going to highlight this part right here. So maybe like this. I'm going more to the left. So maybe like this, and also a little bit more down to highlight this bottom a little bit more. So maybe like this. Alright, this is nice. I'm going to click on this done, and I'm going to render high resolution. Alright, and this is how we can create the lightning. Now we are going to create realistic material. A lot of you guys ask me if I can show you how to work with material graph and how to create really realistic and complex material. So let's start working on this material. Alright, double click on this material, and we are also going to check if this is completely black color. Now I'm going to open material graph, and I'm going to bring my material graph to the right side, but I'm going to the camera. I'm going to use free camera. I'm going to change for now these aspect ratio to get a little bit more space. I'm going to move these wheels a little bit more to the left. And I'm going to bring my material graph right here. And you can see this is the material graph of our material tire. So when I double click on this material, you can see all the parameters, you can see the diffuse color, and you can also see the specular color. So now I'm going to bring my textures here. So I'm going to use this texture. So I'm going to double click on this texture. I'm going to press C on the keyboard. So now I can see this texture on this wheel. I'm going to use simple box mapping type. I'm going to change the size to 50. And I'm going to play with this brightness value. We are going to use this texture as a roughness material. So everything white will be rough and everything black will be shiny. So I'm going a little bit more down because the tire is a little bit more shiny. So something to like this. And also I'm going to change this contrast to something like this. All right, this is good. And now I'm going to bring this texture to my roughness slot. All right, and you can see how it looks. You can see these spots on the tire. It looks really good. All right, and now I'm going to use this texture as bump map as well. So I'm going to press the Alt on the keyboard and just drag and drop this texture. Now we got two textures. And just drag and drop to the bump slot, double click on this texture, go down and change this bump value to a little bit more down, something to like this. Actually, I'm going to use the 1 so you can see how it change. And now I'm going to make it a little bit more lower. So maybe like this, even more. And this is how it looks with our bump map. Now we are going to create first layer or first label, which is the same in the KeyShot. So I'm going to bring this tire material again to this material graph. And if we are going to think about this as the paint, this is like the base coat or base layer, and this will be like the first coat on the top. So I'm trying to create like worn effect on this side of the tire. I'm going to double click on this material. I'm going to make this a little bit more less reflective or a little bit more dark reflective. So something to like this. And I'm going to bring this material as label number 1. All right, and you can see it's completely changed. So this is our first coat on this base layer. And we are also going to make it a little bit more rough. And also this will be a little bit more to the plastic. If we bring this up, this is like the more metal color or metal material. And if we are going to bring this down, this is like the more plastic. So something to like this. Now I'm going to bring my texture again. And we are going to blend these two layers together. And we are going to click on this. We are going to the texture and we are going to use this texture to opacity slot right here. Opacity, you can see it's changed. I'm going to click on this opacity and now I'm going to use again similar values like before and you can see how this looks. And also I'm going to play with this brightness. So if I'm going to use 2 or 3 big value, I'm going to make this tire more rough. And if I'm going to make this low, I'm going to make it much more shiny. So I'm going for the 3 and I'm going to use the contrast something to like 2. All right. And you may think this is like too much rough, but we are going to blend two textures to get these plastic just on this side of the tire, not on this side, but just on this right here. So this is all right. And now I'm going to click on this line because I need to combine two textures together. I'm going to click on this line and I'm going to use the color composite. Alright, something to like this. I'm going to clean this layer. Now I'm going to bring my second texture to combine these together. So I'm going to the texture and I'm going to use the basic texture from KeyShot. So I'm trying to find this one. This is alright. So I'm just going to drag and drop this texture. Alright. I'm going to double click on this and press C on my keyboard to see the texture. And I'm going to use this mapping type, the cylinder. And I'm going to use this move texture tool. I'm going to bring this a little bit right here. And I'm going to use this x-axis. I'm going to press this button. And I'm also going to change or scale this texture. And I'm going to turn off this repeat. I'm just going to turn on this repeat. All right. This will be like 19 centimeters. And we are going to click, or we are going to use it as background and source alpha. All right. And now double click on this and press C. And you can see this texture is just on this side. And that's really nice. I'm going to double click on this texture. And I'm going to make it a little bit more bright. And also a little bit more contrast. Something to like this. Or actually maybe just like this. This is alright. I'm going to press C on my keyboard again. And you can see how it looks. It's really nice. Last step to finish this label is to bring up the bump map. So I'm again going to bring this texture. Alright. Double click on this texture. Make it 50 as before. And I'm going to make it as the bump map to this first layer. Alright. Double click on this and make this bump map a little bit lower. Clean this graph. And this is our first layer or first label. Now I'm going to this texture. I'm going to press C on my keyboard and I'm going to change this mapping type to cylinder. And I'm going to use the move texture and make it as this X. All right. And I'm going to press C again. And now it looks much more better. I just need to bump up the size value, something like 50. All right. Yeah, and it looks much more better. Now we can create our text on the side of this tire, which will be the label number 2. So we are going to find paint made yellow, just drag and drop. And we are going to bring this material to our label. So this will be like the label number 2. And all right. We are just going to double click on this material. We are going to change this color to make it a little bit more orange. So maybe like this. And maybe like this. All right. This looks really good. I'm also going to use this roughness color. So I'm just going to hold the Alt key and just drag and drop. I'm going to use this as the roughness. All right, and now we need to create the opacity for this layer. So I'm going to bring my texture, just drag and drop, double click on this texture. We are going to use this aliasing, so we are not going to change any other texture, and we are going to bring this to the opacity channel. All right, double click on this texture. Make it as the UV, make it a little bit more bigger, something to like this. Turn off this repeat and use this flip horizontal and flip vertical. All right. And now we are going to play with these values and you can see we are bringing the color to this texture. So I'm going to use something to like this. And also I'm going to use a little bit lower contrast like this. This is really nice. And now I'm just going to hold my Alt again, drag and drop this texture, double click, and we are going to use a little bit different values right here, so something like 2 and 1.25, and we are going to bring this texture to bump map. Alright, double click on this, and we are going to change this bump height to just a little bit of this bump map. Alright, clean this material graph, and we are just create this second label. So now we can close this material graph, and I'm going again to use this 1:1 aspect ratio, and I'm going back to my camera, and now we can see how the whole material is looking. It's really nice. And I'm again going to open my material graph, and you can see what we actually create. I'm going to the labels, and you can see I'm going to turn this off. We got like this base material, then we create this rough material right here, which is the label number 1, and then we create this sidewall texture. So it was really simple, but it's really realistic material. Now we can finish the final visualization, so I'm going back to my environment, and I'm just going to turn on this occlusion ground shadow and the flattened ground, and you can see how it looks. It looks much more better. So now I'm going to my lightning, and I'm going to use the product rendering mode, which will get a little bit more quality. And now I'm going to the image, and I'm going to use the new style. I'm going to use photographic, and we can play with this contrast value. This one actually looks really good, but I'm going to use the linear, and I'm going to make this exposure a little bit higher, so maybe like this. And also we can make this color much more warmer or much more cooler. I'm going to choose to make it a little bit more cooler, something to like this. And also I'm going to bring this contrast value a little bit more up, like this. This is really nice. I'm going to turn on this denoise, but I'm going to make this value lower, because if you're going to use value like 1, you blur whole image. So I'm going to use maybe 0.3. And now I'm going to use this bloom effect again. I'm going to change this intensity to something to like this. Radius will be much more bigger, like this, or actually I'm going to try this 15, and threshold will be 2. And this is how it looks. Now I'm going to change this camera a little bit more, so I'm going to unlock this camera and make it a little bit more further, this distance. Alright. This is really nice, and a lot of you guys ask me in the comment section how to create animation, so right now I'm going to show you how to create simple animation. So we need to click on this animation button right here. Also, I'm going to turn off this log resolution and bring this a little bit more up. And this is our animation tools, so I'm going to use rotation. I'm going to rotate this tire. And I want to rotate this tire clockwise by 360 degrees. I want something like 12-second animation. And also I'm going to see how it's rotating, and it's rotating in the different direction. So I'm going to use this direction. This is really good. Alright, this is our timeline, how it looks. So I'm going to click on the finish. And this is how it looks, our animation. It's really simple. You can use it as you want. So yeah, this is it. And now I'm going to show you how to render this image. So I'm going to close these tools. I'm going again to my camera. Now go to the render tab. And we are going to use PNG. I'm going for a little bit higher resolution. I'm going to use the clown pad, and I'm going to use the maximum samples. Alright, and it will be 256 samples. And now we can render this image. Alright boys, so this is how it looks when we finish all the settings and all the materials. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to see more tutorials like this, hit the like button and subscribe button. And if you want to download 3D files from my tutorials, visit my Patreon page, link is in the description. And as always, have a nice day and have a nice render. Bye bye.